It's DFS and bets. I'm Holden. I got Mangone here from the sports side. I got Spread a Stare making his debut from the bet side today. Keg taking off once again, going to the proctologist, he told me. So, he's got to have a good time. Spread, you're going to have better time than he is on this show. I will tell you that much. How are you, my friend?
Definitely. I'm so excited to be here and hang out and talk some NFL football. So thanks for having me on.
You got it. Mangone, wonderful to see you. I don't know why you said I was going out on a date, given I have a $15 Old Navy shirt, but
Well,
that's fine.
listen, you got a collar on and like your hair is done. I don't think I've ever seen you with a collar and your hair done. I don't know if the date is a great date. I don't know if it's a cheap date. I don't know what you're doing, but I've never seen a collar
Oh, you
on
should
you
have.
and your hair done up.
Yeah,
That's
you
all
should
I'm
have
trying to
seen
say.
this. You should have seen this little piggy last weekend. It was just a mess. Anyways, guys, we're going to talk some DFS and some bets on this side. Before we get into that, give a thumbs up, like this video, subscribe to the Run Pure Sports and Run Pure Bets YouTube page, and be on the lookout now. We just dropped our second interview of my interview series. We had Big T is out on the podcast and video on YouTube, and now JSU just dropped on that side. Mangum, we'll get to you. I don't know what I'm going to talk to you about, though, is the only question. Like, we could talk about your process, but you haven't lost your virginity yet. You don't have any good sex stories. You don't do drugs. I mean, what the hell am I going to talk to you about?
None of all that is true, but I don't know. Who knows what we'll
Oh, you
stumble
do
upon.
drugs. I didn't know that.
I don't know. I don't know if I do or don't. I can't confirm or deny.
Don't
Maybe you have to tune in to find out.
Spread, I'll get to you, buddy. I'll get to you too. I mean, I don't know what to ask you, but I feel like you have a really dark side. So let's just get into this betting stuff before we get too far. See, Mangone's happy now. That's all I want to do is make Mangone happy. That makes me happy when he smiles.
Hey, happy wife, happy life, Holden. That's what they say.
6 games on the slate. Mangone wanted to puke when he looked at this. We got Atlanta, New Orleans, Tennessee, Baltimore, a couple good games. Indianapolis, Green Bay, another good game. Pittsburgh, Jacksonville, love it. Minnesota, Dallas, Dalvin Cook, Washington, Cincinnati, because we didn't have anything else. Let's get into this spread. I want to start with you on the bet side. And Atlanta is a 5-point dog on the road. The total here is 51. Obviously, the big story here is Jameis Winston starting. You would think we'll see a little more Taysom Hill. And, your boy Keg, he's on Atlanta here in the second half too, spread.
Yeah, I mean, Atlanta's been great since switching to Raheem Morris. They're one Todd Gurley kneel down away from being undefeated since making the coaching change. They had a lot of talent, and they were highly rated going into the season. Obviously, got off to a terrible start, but still you got Matt Ryan in that receiving core, good running backs. The defense has been questionable, but Morris has seemed to shore it up a tad. But I think this game, honestly, is the epitome of uncertainty here with Jameis Winston stepping in. He's got all the potential to really step in and not be a downgrade at all. But at the same time, he's got the potential to be a disaster as Drew Brees does not turn the ball over. And now you got Jameis Winston, who led the league in passing yards and interceptions last year, right? So he's the epitome of high risk, high reward. I'm not sure what sort of Jameis we're going to get. I'll tell you what, he looked in shape, so he looks like he's taking it seriously. Every quote that you've read coming out of the Saints camp would indicate to you that you like where he's at mentally, talking about working with Brees, avoiding the turnovers. He seems to be really focused on that. And that's the key to really Jameis Winston's success, because we know he can sling it. And the upside would be he can really move the ball down the field. He could take advantage over the top where Brees could not. You got to love his arm strength and his arm and his ability to open up that offense if he can prevent the turnovers. Accuracy could be an issue here. At 7, I think I liked Atlanta a lot. Down to -5. I'm not sure if I really like this game as much. So far, I do not have a play on this game, but I think it's the most interesting game on the board to watch and to take notes for to go for the rest of the season. Because, boy, with these injuries, Brees could be out another 2 weeks, another month. I mean, who knows? It sounds pretty bad coming out of there. And if I'm New Orleans Saints, I'm not going to rush him back. I want him fully healthy for the playoffs. So we could have a month of Jameis ahead. So let's scout and see what type of player we're going to get.
Hey, Mangone, let me just start with this. Taysom Hill, 4.5K on FanDuel as a tight end. And it's not like tight ends blowing us away this week. I mean, we got Goddard at 5.8. Maybe you'll like Hurst at 5.5. We're talking about basically punting with a guy that's now getting rushing attempts, might get a passing attempt or two, probably a red zone rush, probably, I mean, he even has a chance at a reception. Is it crazy to think that we can go Taysom Hill, maybe not even in a tournament, maybe in a tournament, maybe even cash?
Man, the tight end sucks segment is starting early this week. This is one of my favorite segments. This is I've been preaching this all season long. Tight end sucks. Don't pay for it. And here we are. And actually, the first thing I did when I opened up the FanDuel slate was, what is Taysom Hill's price? Because I hope people don't play him at tight end, and I do, and I can just take the free square. Yes, I just called Taysom Hill a free square at 4,500 because, one, the position sucks.
You're right.
Two, I get a guy that's getting goal line work. Like, if you told me, hey, there's a guy they use as a gadget player, he's going to get guaranteed goal line work. He might catch passes. He might throw it. Heck, he might run the ball in out of the wildcat, right? I'll take him at 4,500 because FanDuel's a touchdown site. The touchdowns are important there. Like, I like Taysom Hill. I want to play him in cash. I want to play him in, GPPs. I want all the Taysom Hill. And I'm not scared to play him with Jameis Winston. And I'm definitely a Jameis Winston truther, homer, whatever you want to call it. Yes, Jameis is #good, man. This guy is one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. He just got LASIK done this offseason, right? People forget that. He couldn't see. He was literally
Timeout. I'm calling a timeout. Just because you're blind doesn't mean that you can't make good decisions. And nobody makes worse decisions passing the football than Jameis Winston.
He can't see. He's making the decision without having a clear vision.
How dumb do you have to be to not be able to see in the NFL and not get it fixed sooner?
Listen, some people are very stubborn. I don't know Jameis Winston personally. Some people are stubborn people, right? He eventually decided, hey, he's got to get the LASIK done. I'm not saying this is like a LASIK infomercial, but I am a LASIK person. I used it, and I can attest that maybe there's some bias there. It's good. So yeah, I'm definitely a believer in it. And hey, I think it's going to help Jameis. And it's great to sit behind a guy like, Drew Brees. Also, I think Winston, could have Winston maybe gotten a job last year if he pushed for it? Probably, but I think he was looking around at the league and said, do I want to go to this job, this job, this job? Or could I just sit behind Drew Brees and maybe take over for the Saints, and stick around with Sean Payton? I think he weighed his options pretty heavily. I think when you throw, again, he threw 30 interceptions, right? I get it. It was not good. Once you throw 30 interceptions, if you do it again, you're probably out the league. So you have to be pretty smart about your decisions. You can't just go to another team and just randomly, do that. Like if you're a head coach, right, and you have an 0-16 season as your first time as a head coach, and then you get fired. If you get another chance, you better not screw that thing up, or else you're never getting a chance again. So I think Winston, I have a lot of faith in him. I believe in him. If it helps for a little bit of narratives too, he loves playing against Atlanta because he's from there, family from there. He's talked about that a ton, how he always loves playing against Atlanta because of his family, especially when it's at Atlanta. This game is not at Atlanta, but he's got weapons too, man. He's got Michael Thomas. He's got Alvin Kamara. I got faith in him, and he's got a smart coach behind him as well. So I like Jameis a lot this week. I'm planning on making him my top exposed quarterback of the week.
Wow. What do you think there spread about Jameis Winston just as a football player in general?
Yeah, I mean, he's got all the tools. He was the number one pick, and it comes down to, like you said, decision-making, because he can make the throws. And arm strength-wise, I mean, he can make so many more throws than Brees does. We've heard so many people talk about, the guys that really break down the X's and O's, how defenses are shading away from the sides of the field and playing the middle because they don't think that Brees can make those throws. They won't be able to do that against Jameis. He can make every throw on the route tree. And, a receiver that Mangone didn't mention that I think is going to be huge for him is Emmanuel Sanders. And I'd be interested to know what Mangone thinks about his DFS upside here, because I think that he will use kind of that safety blanket. And the key to Jameis will be using those checkdowns, getting those underneath passes, and that will allow him to be more aggressive going down the field. Also, we have a coaching change, right? Bruce Arians, no risk it, no biscuit. He's a guy that wanted Jameis to be aggressive and wasn't too worried about the interceptions. Now you're going with Peyton, who's a guy that, he's definitely more into the more traditional conservative ball control style offense, and simply is not going to put up with the interceptions, where I don't think Arians was necessarily as upset about it the way that he was calling those plays and expecting him to be aggressive. So he's also adapting to a new system. Let's see how much Peyton's really drilled into his head. Last week, we didn't get to see much. I was a little disappointed. He did miss some easy throws, but he's got a week to fix that. He's practicing with the number ones. And as a fan, I think this is the most fascinating game of the week, because if Jameis comes in and plays like Mangone expects, I mean, this turns the league on its head. I mean, this could completely change the way that we view things if he's able to do it. Remember, the Saints went 5-0 when Brees was on the bench last year. So it's not like they haven't proven they can win with a backup quarterback. So this is a great opportunity for Jameis Winston to really prove that he belongs as a starter in this league.
All right. Very good. What about the Atlanta side there, Mangone? Let's talk about that for a minute. Julio, Hayden Hurst. I wonder what you think about Hurst if Ridley comes back too. Matt Ryan, the running game. What's your take on Atlanta?
Well, one reason I like Atlanta, and I mean, not to go back on Jameis, I could do a whole podcast on this guy, but I'll say this. He's going against Atlanta, and Atlanta, they are a pass funnel. And in DFS, like, we don't care if, we don't care what you do. We just want you to like throw volume, right? Volume, right? That's key. And then you eventually fall into stuff. And he could he could have a bad game and fall into a really good stat line. And because he's going to pass a lot, what's that going to mean? Because they're a pass funnel with Atlanta. That means you're going to see the game interacting really well. You're going to see the game clock being in the favor of who? What team? Both sides, the Saints and the Falcons. Another great point here is the Falcons. They love to run the ball. They love to slow the game down. But it's hard to slow the game down when you're going up against a team that has not given up a 100-yard rushing game to an opposing running back in 52 games it's been? I mean, this Saints are a really good, and I mean really good run defense. So what's that going to cause the Falcons to have to do? They're going to pass a lot. Saints are going to pass a lot. What's this game going to do? It's going to be a slower game, right? And by slower game, I mean the clock is not going to move a ton. You're going to get more plays, and it's going to interact really well. It's going to be pass. It's going to be great. This game's going to shoot out. It's in a dome. Most of these games are not in a dome. I want to load up on this game, man. Like, I mean, let's look at some price tags on these guys, okay? Now, we can't afford everyone in DFS. That is one of the things, right? I do want to try and get Kamara. I want to try and get Michael Thomas. Emmanuel Sanders is the one thing that was brought up by Spread. He's 4.9K. I think getting exposure to him makes some sense. I don't know Traquan Smith if he's still okay. I know he got injured during that game. And he walked off on his own power, but he's 3.5K too. He could be an interesting option. And we got some cheap prices on some of these guys, like Hayden Hurst at 4.4K. Don't mind that. Julio Jones, 7.5K. Like, that's still cheap for Julio Jones, technically, right? Julio Jones, we have paid 8.5 for him against the Saints. Calvin Ridley, only 7K. I like Calvin Ridley too. I mean, I want to get exposure to this game. It's the game of the week all around. I want to be playing guys in the dome. I think it's going to interact really well. I don't bet a ton of over-unders. I would not bet the under on this. If anything, I would bet the over. And yeah, I'm in on this game all around. I wouldn't want to be playing the run game as much, but here's the thing. Alvin Kamara, he's not really a running back as much. He's more of like a pass catching back that they just want to get into open space, and they'll find ways to get him in open space. So no Todd Gurley for me, but all the pass catchers, and give me Jameis and Matt Ryan. Don't sleep on him in tournaments as like a stack, right? Because you might see, like, I think Jameis is going to get pretty chalky because of his price tag around the industry. What you could do is you could just go to Matt Ryan, and he might be like, I don't know, like 5% owned or 2% owned, while Jameis is like 15%. And you could have like, some really nice leverage opportunity there. So don't miss out on that.
All right. Very good. Anything else spread on that one? Or are you ready to move on to Tennessee, Baltimore?
Let's move on to Tennessee, Baltimore.
Let's do it. We have a total of 49. Tennessee is a 6.5-point dog heading into Baltimore against Lamar Jackson, who, let's face it, just has not been the same guy we saw last year. The floor is not very high, and the ceiling is not very high. It hasn't gotten to 30 points yet there, Mangone. But spread, when you look at these two teams, I mean, you got the unstoppable force in Derrick Henry, the immovable object on the other side with Baltimore trying to stop him. Tannehill in this Tennessee passing game has just gone to hell too. And as we saw last week, I mean, Tennessee just cut their punter. Gostkowski can't make anything. I mean, I'm really starting to take that into account when I'm talking about Baltimore and Tennessee, because the special teams just completely imploded last week. It cost me a lot of money.
Yeah, it was rough for us too. I was on Tennessee with you as well, and it was a tough meltdown. But I'm telling you what, I'm going back to the well with Tennessee here, and that's because I'm grabbing the points, and I just expect it to be a close, low-scoring game. Boy, you talk about the immovable object that we thought that the Ravens' run defense was. That looked like a varsity team versus a JV team on Sunday night, and the weather was there for both teams. And I think what you're seeing is the Ravens' injuries coming back to haunt them. I think that the lack of Calais Campbell was very tough for the Ravens to overcome. You saw them getting blown away at the line of scrimmage, and it's hard to not think that Tennessee won't be able to do the same, and you're getting an even better running back to follow that up. Not to mention the Ravens' other injury that I personally, and I'm blaming myself for this, did not take into account. I mean, we have two teams that are missing their left tackles, right? Taylor Lewan out for the Titans, and now you got the Ravens left tackle out the week after they signed him to the extension. And I think that's hurt a lot because I think that Lamar hasn't had time. He's not being able to get to that side. And like you said, he's just not the same player that he is before. The Ravens, boy, seem to be living off last year's reputation. They do have some good wins this year, but they are not the powerhouse and the juggernaut that we expected. And I've had them and power rated too high for the results that I've got for them so far. So expecting the close game, I'm loving the fact that I get 6.5 points with the Tennessee team that beat Baltimore in the playoffs last year. So they proved they can show up, win a big game. My only concern is Taylor Lewan. This will be a 2-unit bet for me. But I really like the Tennessee Titans' ability to run the ball, get their offense going against the Ravens defense that's been depleted by injuries and just got blown off the line of scrimmage last week. So I think this is a great play. I'm going to be all in on Tennessee.
Hold on. This is 2 units. If what?
It would have been if Lewan wasn't out.
Oh, if Lewan wasn't out. They got a couple injuries now on the offensive line too, but you're still feeling pretty good about Tennessee?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I even think Tannehill's a better quarterback than Lamar Jackson. If you're talking about, this week in the NFL, obviously Lamar Jackson has all the potential in the world. Tannehill's very close to his ceiling, but we're getting A.J. Brown, who's a better wide receiver than anyone on the Ravens. Hollywood Brown has been almost close to absent this year. Jackson hasn't been able to get involved. It's almost like Andrews or bust there for that passing game or a bunch of dump offs. I was kind of impressed with J.K. Dobbins. Be interested to see what Mangone thinks of his upside as a fantasy player, as the Ravens seem to be pivoting towards him being the featured back. But all in all, I just expect Tennessee to be able to run the ball, keep this game close, give me the points in this game.
All right, Mangone, let's do this. Is Derrick Henry going to be able to get going? Does Lamar Jackson actually get going? What happens with the Titans offense? Ryan Tannehill, they're still efficient. They're just not getting anything done here. So from a DFS side, let's start with Lamar Jackson here. What's your take? Where are you playing him if you're playing him?
I mean, am I playing him at running back? Because he's not a quarterback. He's the only quarterback in this game. That's why Ryan Tannehill is the best quarterback in this game, because there's only one. I'm taking that from Big T. That's hilarious that he said that, but he's right. Like Lamar Jackson, the dude cannot throw. And when I heard spread say, Hollywood Brown's been non-existent, man, this soldier is in the field battling, and it's not his fault the guy can't get him the ball. I mean, if you watch Hollywood Brown, he's getting open, like he's getting separation. I feel bad for the guy. It's like, sure, like air yards matter and they're important, but like at some point, it's like if your quarterback can't get it to you, it's unfortunate. It might connect at some point, and the price is still not cheap enough where I don't want to go to him. You can't go to him in cash, right? I know some people make the case like, oh, you're getting a number one receiver for, this price tag. It's so cheap. And it's like, I can't do it. Maybe in tournaments you can because of the upside it can have. I don't mind maybe going at Derrick Henry and then pairing it with a Marquise Brown in tournaments. And the reason why I would do that is I would be saying, hey, if the Titans are winning, right, Derrick Henry's running the ball a lot and he's going to have the good game script. And then if it's that kind of game script, Marquise Brown gets maybe a couple more deep balls thrown to him and maybe at one finally connects. That's the way I would make that stack work. And that's how I would approach it. A.J. Brown, he basically, retired last week, was non-existent. But hey, A.J. Brown, I will go back to the well. I will give you a pass, A.J. You're a good receiver. You're maybe not the best receiver on this slate, but you are definitely in the conversation. Maybe a good pivot off of who? Calvin Ridley and Julio Jones, who we just talked about. I don't know what his ownership is going to be. I would like A.J. Brown's ownership to be very low, though, if I'm going to take some shots on him. Again, this is not a game that I love too much. It is a 49 total. I'm curious to see kind of how it shakes up ownership-wise. That's going to dictate a lot of how I handle it. Cash games, I don't really want too much exposure to this. You may be looking at this and be saying, hey, Mark Andrews is only 4.9K. Why are we not playing him? Because tight end sucks and we're not spending our money there. So knock it off. No Mark Andrews for me. I don't want to be playing him. And I do want to get the spreads question about J.K. Dobbins. I am with you on wanting to get some exposure to J.K. Dobbins. Like, I think it makes some sense in tournaments. My problem is, last week, the coaches were saying, oh, we're going to feature J.K. Dobbins, this. And then what did he do? He got 5 rush attempts. And the problem I have with this is not only do I have to be right that the Ravens, I I have to be right that the Ravens actually have a good run game and dominate on the run game. I also have to guess which guy it is, and I don't want to play that guessing game. The only time I want to play that guessing game is if I happen to fall on a guy and the value is really rough and the guy's like 1%. Like that's kind of how it would have to happen. And I don't know if I'm going to get that. If I do pick a running back on this game, though, it is Dobbins, and just hoping he finally gets the work. And maybe you can make a case that last week was a bit of an anomaly because of how that game script was. They were trailing a lot of the game. The weather was a disaster. But I don't know. I just can't get too excited about that running game.
Okay. So that's it. We're done with that game. Are we ready to move on? There's nobody else we can dig up. Devin Duvernay. Nothing. I mean, come on. What am I doing here?
I mean,
Mark Andrews. I mean, if you're not playing Taysom Hill, huh?
No, I talked about Andrews.
I know.
We're not paying for tight ends, Holden. Knock it off.
Right. But, we're going with Taysom Hill on FanDuel. But if you really want to get crazy and play Mark Andrews and lose money, by all means, I say go ahead and do so, because that'll be more money for us. Indianapolis and Green Bay. I like the fact that Green Bay is getting Alan Lazard back. So, Rodgers starting to get his boys. So let's go look at the spread. We got Colts -2 at home spread, and 51.5 is the total. The Colts are favored at home to Green Bay. Is this the right call or the wrong call?
So originally I was jumping in and I thought I was going to take the Colts until I actually ran my numbers and then went ahead, took a closer look at this game and the matchups involved. And I took a little thing away from the Monday night or the Thursday night game that we watched where, I mean, you mentioned it early, special teams was what cost Tennessee that game. And you look and you think that Green Bay is going to make those mistakes. Originally, I thought that the Colts might be a nice play here at home with what I think is a fantastic defense. But we know in the new NFL, right? This isn't 1985 anymore. In the new NFL, these quarterbacks can carve up any defense, no matter how good you are. So, and now I'm taking Aaron Rodgers over Phillip Rivers. I mean, I love it. I think you're getting, a top 5 guy against a bottom 10 guy. And I don't see how people aren't able to figure out what Indianapolis is doing. I mean, the guy half his passes are screens, right? And how are they not able to stop this? I trust Green Bay, and I think that this is a close game. If this is a close game with 8 minutes to go, do you want Rodgers or Rivers here at this point in their careers? I loved Rivers, 5-7 years ago, one of my favorite players. He's not that guy anymore. He's such a liability for this team. And the fact that I'm getting 2 points on the road, probably 2.5. Indy seems to be fairly popular. They took money, which didn't surprise me because early on I was thinking this was the right side with what I think is a much better defense. But I trust Aaron Rodgers to go ahead and carve up this defense. Devontae Adams has been absolutely phenomenal, thrown his name into maybe the top wide receiver in the NFL. I personally prefer DeAndre Hopkins, but if you want to make an argument for Adams, I can't really fault you. And then, like you said, he's getting some more weapons back. We even saw a Scantling sighting last week, which threw us all off because we've continued to write that guy off since we all overdrafted my fantasy in 2018. But the more I looked into this game, the more I think that the Packers are the right side. I used to love fading Rodgers on the road. He's only 50% win percentage on the road compared to his phenomenal win percentage at Lambeau. But I'm going to go ahead and even take that into account. I think this is a great matchup for Green Bay. I think Rodgers and Adams and the company can go ahead and beat these corners, negate the awesome front seven that the Colts have. I'm taking the 2 points on the road, and I think the Green Bay is going to get it done.
Wow. Man, Mangone, I kind of feel like if we really want to dig, and we don't even need to dig, there's some pretty nice DFS options this week from this game. And I want to start with you, 2 kids that really busted out last week, Nyheim Hines and Michael Pittman Jr. Pittman, it looks like the emergence is coming. And I say this in redraft leagues when I play fantasy. I draft rookies expecting rookie wide receivers to really just bust out in the second half of the season. And we're seeing that right now with Pittman. Hines on the other side. Do you feel comfortable starting anybody on the Colts this week against the Packers, Mango?
No, I do not want to play any of these guys really. Maybe Jack Doyle at 2.5K on DK. Like maybe I don't know. Is Jack Doyle back? Are we getting the old Jack Doyle? I mean, that could be a question to ask. So
wow.
That'd be maybe interesting, but probably not. I don't want to play T.Y. Hilton that badly. He'll probably draw Jair Alexander. As long as Jair is playing, I know he didn't play last week, so that would be
King and
interesting.
Alexander were out, so we got to keep an eye on. Let's just say one of those two guys are out. Does Pittman get into the conversation?
No. So I will say it is a week where I kind of want to pay up for some of these running backs, maybe. So you could see me like maybe digging at more of these 4K receivers. So there's a slight chance, but I don't trust Phillip Rivers. I also don't trust the guys throwing it, or the guy. I don't trust Phillip Rivers, and I also have to trust that the guys are going to catch him too, right? And that got to trust coverage. There's a lot of ways that basically Pittman can fail. That's my one fear I have. So I don't love too much of the cold side of the ball. I'm not going to attack with their running game. Who knows what they're going to do? Green Bay is the interesting one. Like, do I
real quick, just to let you know, if you wanted to punt with Jack Doyle, he's still in concussion protocol. Okay. And it's been 10 days already. So I'm not so sure I would feel comfortable rolling him out there. But okay, on the other side, my friend, Green Bay.
Yeah, Aaron Jones, right? Like, what do we do with him? Is the workload actually real? Like, it wasn't last week. At one point, we had Jamal Williams and Tyler Irvin splitting snaps, and then Irvin got hurt, and they finally brought Aaron Jones back in. That was quite frustrating. I am going to be a little cautious with Aaron Jones. I think he makes sense as a good tournament play, though. And Davante Adams, if you have the money to spend on him, I think he makes a ton of sense. I obviously don't mind going to him. But there are a lot of guys there on Green Bay where, the ball can get spread around a bit. And, your touchdown equity can get hurt with some of these other guys. Like, you can make cases, Scantling's cheap, Lazard and Tanyan, but at the same time, their touchdown equity is kind of weak. So, I don't know exactly how to approach this game. It's kind of one of those where I think you want to take some stabs here and there, but I'm not loading up, right? I'm not like building all these Colts and Packers game stacks left and right.
So the other thing about this, let's just talk about a build in general, Mangone, because you mentioned Davante Adams, right? So how do you get Cook or Kamara and Adams? Are you picking Adams over those two guys? I feel like on FanDuel, you could probably squeeze two of them in, but I mean, how do you get Adams into a lineup this week if you're paying up for Cook or Kamara?
Yeah, I don't think I am. Which again, in tournaments, that could make him get really low owned, right? Which could be really interesting, right? A low owned Davante Adams, like, listen, those should be alarm bells going off. So you get a different construction than others. But yeah, I definitely think that Adams is someone you want to consider. We just don't want to ignore him. And yeah, he's one of the best receivers in the league, right? There's a lot of good receivers. I don't have him as 1 or 2 or 3. Like, I have him up there. I don't know which one he is. He's one of them though. He's up there, top 3 for me for sure.
Spread, I can't remember if you hit this or not. The total's gone from 49.5 to 51.5. What do you think of the total?
Right now, I would lean to the under, but I'm having hard times playing unders in this new NFL. I mean, we're just seeing totals flying over left and right, so I'm not really too excited. But if you put me on a side, I definitely would lean to the under here. I think that the game will not have, Mangone talked about a quick pace maybe in the New Orleans Atlanta game. I think this game could be the opposite, with both teams trying to establish the run, especially whoever has the lead, right? I think that both teams feel quite comfortably pivoting to a run-based attack if they can get up by a touchdown or more. All these things make me like the under. I think really it comes down to how much Indy going to score, because I think Green Bay will score. So if you think that Indy's going to score 24 or more, then, go ahead and go to the over. I think there's a chance that they could get slowed down and the Green Bay could play some ball control defense, leading to an under, maybe a 27-20 style victory. So I lean to the under here, but it's definitely not one of my favorite plays on the slate.
You know what my thought was? Yeah, sorry. You know what my thought was on this? A spread was talking, like, everything's turned in my head and I'm thinking it through. If the Packers win, right, there's a good chance if the Packers win, there's a good chance what happens is, what do the Colts do? They probably, they can get absolutely crushed. Phillip Rivers makes mistakes and they don't hit over their team total. Why don't we bet their team total? Because you can make a case if the Colts are leading, they are really going to just be winning because they're ball controlling and they're running the ball really well on the Packers. Like, you could see the Colts win this game like 24-20, right? 24-21, 24-23. Like, I don't mind the total under. I think that's the way I would probably play the angle spread. Do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Colts are really your worry here if you're taking the over here, because, like I said, I don't trust this offense. Now, what is Green Bay's biggest weakness? And this completely got exposed in the NFC Championship game last year, and then again in the Minnesota game. They can't stop the run. So do we believe the Colts have the horses to do it? I do think that their line is capable of doing it, but at the same time, they don't have these explosive backs. JJ has so much fun running down Jonathan Taylor, and a lot of his criticisms have turned out to be absolutely correct. Hines, I think, is, a great change of pace back, but he's definitely not like a Dalvin Cook or even a Mostert or Breida that were destroying him last year for the Niners. So it's really going to come down to their ability to stop the run. I think that if the Colts are able to get that run game going, which is a good chance against this defense that they'll go over, but if Green Bay can really realize that the whole offense is predicated around that, you put this guy in 3rd and 5 or longer, they're just running screens. You can shut them down. That's the way to go. Now, obviously, they've known that the run's coming before and haven't been able to stop it. But at the same time, I love the line, but I don't necessarily like the backs behind it. I think the Green Bay does have a good possibility of shutting down this run game enough to go ahead and make this a viable under spot for the Colts team total.
Well, yeah, 26.5 is what I'm looking at here. I mean, that's got to be the one. Packers 24.5, Colts 26.5. I mean, obviously we'd like it to be 27, right? Spread, but 26.5 is nice. If you're looking at 24 points, that might be the way to go. And it's juiced the same, 113, 114. I'm looking at it.
Yeah, I would wait to try and get the 27, probably, like hope it maybe, because you said it's been trending up and it's in a dome and some of these others aren't. Maybe you get lucky and it trends up more, but I'm not sure. I mean, if it went down to 26, would you be mad? 26 is like a weird number. So I would probably I would be monitoring it and wait. And then if it hits 26, you hit it. If not, you wait for the 27, basically.
Yeah, actually, that's a great point because there's real, like you said, the 26 hasn't hurt you that much. There's really no reason not to wait because it pretty much all upside. At 26, it's still just as viable. But you get that 27 and you're really happy. So that's a great point. Go ahead and wait on it.
25, 25.5, 26, 26.5. Is there much difference in any of those?
No.
All right. So, Mangone's on fire today.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I love
it. By the way, speaking of on fire, our boy JJ was mentioned. Give us those 2 thumbs up, Holden, as JJ says. Give us the 2 thumbs up for the video. We'd appreciate it here. And subscribe to Run Pure Sports, guys. We got tons of awesome content here that we want you to check out. And over on the bet side, Spread's got tons of great Run Pure Bets content. I mean, NBA is around the corner, and Spread's going to be putting out some NBA videos, I'm sure, if you want to talk about that a little bit, Spread.
Yeah, I love the NBA. Did really well in the playoffs this year. And I can't wait for the regular season. I got a model that I trust pretty well. And not only that, we know how to take advantage of it on the live betting side. We will be live tonight for the draft, at least the lottery. I told Jay after about pick 15, I'm going to be pretty much worthless as far as live betting information, but I think we're going to be able to find some great spots. We're going live right before the draft tonight at 7 Eastern, and you're going to continue to get that all year long. I think the NBA is one of the best sports for live betting. That's where the live betting show is really going to put a lot of money in your pocket because we were actually absolutely able to crush it last year, hitting totals that got off because of aberrant starts, and then also just arbitraging games. As we know, the NBA has huge swings. We get plus 165 on both sides, and then we just kick back and watch the end of the game and don't even worry about it. So we'd love for you to come hang out with us. I'll give you great plays on the spreadsheet, and then we're going to go ahead and double up and by grabbing even more money by being able to attack these live betting boards.
Is that premium?
Usually it's premium. I'm sure we'll have a couple of free shows just like football.
Yeah. If
you for the most part, it's behind the paywall.
Yeah. If you haven't signed up yet, it's like you get both. You get sports and bets for like $100 a month. Like, why wouldn't you do that at this point?
Yeah.
And then also we got Print Factory live Friday night. Print Factory live Friday night, and that would be JJ and JSU and Big T. So that's what we got coming up on the premium side. We are halfway through our games. Let's get to game number 4 here, boys. Pittsburgh, 10-point favorites on the road at Jacksonville. Every week, Pittsburgh seems to be double-digit favorites lately. Total is 46.5 or 47. I'm seeing it all the way around, depending on which side you want to bet it. I see 46.5 at DK, 47 William Hill, 47.5 at a couple other books. So spread, we saw that Dallas game. Didn't turn out too well, but does Pittsburgh just go down to Jacksonville and lay the hammer down, maybe learning from a letdown in Dallas?
You would like to think that, right? But, this isn't a new thing with this team, right? This isn't just this season that they played down in their competition. This has been a continual theme under Tomlin. And the fact is when they escape with these wins, it kind of gives them the reinforcement that this is okay behavior. And who knows? Tomlin's such a great coach. He's one of my favorite coaches in the league. maybe it's the right thing to do. Maybe you can't have your foot on the gas every week for a 16-game season in the most grueling sport that America has to offer. So he might be doing the right thing. At the same time, I do not want to lay points with Pittsburgh on the road, knowing the fact that they do have a tendency to do this. Then you go to the other side. Boy, you got this young quarterback, Luton. That's who I'm expecting to start. Minshew might be back, but if I'm Jacksonville, I think I would continue to run the rookie out there, seeing how he's doing. So that's how I'm kind of capping the game as of right now. I would lean towards taking the points just because that's like my kind of default, especially on games that I'm not sure about. But my power rankings don't tell me to take the points. It's just more of the eye test of watching Pittsburgh mess around. And Jacksonville is just such a tough team to get behind. I think that talent-wise, they're definitely in the bottom 5. Could argue that they're bottom 2 or the worst as far as talent. So they're really a tough team to take the points with. This game has stay away all over it for me. I don't even like it as a teaser option. And my good buddy Will Capper had talked about how moving from the 10 to the 4 had actually become almost as profitable as moving through 7 and 3. But I don't think this is a game where that's the case. I'm completely staying away from this game altogether. And let's see if Pittsburgh goes ahead and puts the smack down and kind of dispels this notion that they like to play with their food and that they'll play down to their competition. But until I see it, it's too hard to believe it. I think this game has stay away written all over it, even from a teaser perspective.
Whale play of the week, 84 units on the Steelers minus 435 spread. Just do it. Just take my advice, buddy. Do it.
I mean, on the money line, if you put in a money line parlay, I guess I don't really mind
parlay.
that.
Yeah. Have you ever laid minus 435 on any bet ever?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I took Floyd Mayweather over Conor McGregor. I laid like almost close to minus 1,000 by the close.
You got to put like $1 million to make any money. Did you bet $1 million on that?
I bet a lot.
Holy crap. 1,000 to 1. You have bet that. I don't think I've ever bet straight up a 400 money line plus. It's crazy. Okay, very good. Mangone, why are you rolling your eyes? You just ready to talk about this game? What's up with the Pittsburgh running game? They're totally washed. James Conner looks like he's 90. What the hell is going on with this guy?
Yeah, I didn't know I was rolling my eyes. Maybe because like we're talking about the Jaguars. Like, oh man, like
we're talking about the Steelers.
Yeah, I mean the Steelers, they're solid. I think the one thing to mention with the Steelers is like it feels like you can just make the case that if you're playing, these guys in fantasy, like there's going to be 4 touchdowns scored probably. One might be by the defense, 3 might be by the other guys, or 4 might be by all the other guys, right? So there is good touchdown equity compared to other teams. You can definitely make a case for that. Like, for instance, if you were debating, I'm trying to think what was one of my debates last week. Oh, like Devontae Parker and Deontay Johnson was a debate I had last week. It's like, listen, I thought the Dolphins were solid, but their touchdown equity was not as good as what the Steelers is, right? Like Deontay Johnson and Chase Claypool, their upside right now and the amount of touchdown equity that they're getting, the floor with that too, it's great. So I like getting exposure to those guys. I think they're really good plays. You can make a case, the Jaguars running game is terrible. You should play James Conner. It's like, okay, the Steelers, you know what they still do? They throw screens, right? They find ways to get these like receivers involved on short passes, which is basically doing a run play, which is what the Jaguars are terrible against. So I'm in on these Steelers. I think getting exposure to Conner makes some sense. Not as much as these other guys, though. I like Johnson and Claypool a little bit more. I think ultimately Big Ben is still going to be sitting there passing the rock, right? He's still going to be throwing screens and all those different things, those short 5-yard outs, the slants, all those things. So definitely want to get exposure to those talented players in Johnson and Claypool. On the Jaguar side, man, DJ Chark, I definitely think he's in play. I think he's a decent option. I still think he's too cheap. I understand the matchup is not that easy, but if you want to run it back and get a little bit of exposure to someone in a game script where it's going to be favoring him, I don't mind doing that. But 46.5 total, not a game I want to get too much exposure to. That's about it for me on that one.
Okay, very good. You are not down with that one. So let's see if you'll get any interest here on the Minnesota-Dallas game spread. The total here is 48.5. And then we got Minnesota 7-point favorites at home. Like, before we get into this, what did you think of Dallas's offense last week with Gilbert?
I think they're fantastic. The idea that they're going to go back to Dalton is just wild to me. I don't understand why they wouldn't let this kid stay out there. He was by far the best quarterback we've seen since Prescott went down. And the fact that they're that they're even considering this just goes back to my anti-McCarthy rants and how I consider him to be like, Adam Gase level bad, and shows that, boy, Aaron Rodgers just carried that guy all the way to a title, and makes you wonder what could have happened maybe if he had a better coach there. But that being aside, I really don't know what to make of this game. I think that they lined it about right. Minnesota, even though they won on Monday night against the Bears team that, are they even putting an offense on the field? It almost looks like the defense is playing both ways. Not sure what to make of that. Obviously, Dalvin Cook is such a stud, and I think that the Dallas, who have had a pretty good run defense before this season, I think that could be an issue for them. Obviously, the secondary has been absolutely terrible this year, and they haven't been able to get a pass rush. And if you give Cousins time, he can look like a fantastic quarterback. We know that he struggles under pressure. I don't think that Dallas is going to be able to get that pressure. At the same time, the way they've set it up, the back door should be wide open. Minnesota, I still don't trust their secondary at all. Really disappointed that Foles and the Bears weren't able to take advantage of that. That seems to be maybe the nail in the coffin of Foles, maybe as a viable NFL starter, watching him not be able to take advantage of that secondary at home. So I think that they actually placed this number about right. And if you're looking at the total side, you really need to see what you expect to get from Dallas. I think if Gilbert's in there, I wouldn't mind an over here. I think that he's going to be able to move the ball in that secondary. I think if Dalton comes back, as good as he was in Cincinnati, and how he was, maybe an all-pro level quarterback at some points of his career, I don't think he has that anymore. He's looked absolutely terrible in the starts that he's got so far this season with an awesome wide receiving core. So you can't blame the weapons. Now, Dallas's line, and I think that's been the key to their whole demise this season, besides McCarthy's ineptitude, is the fact they've had so many injuries on the offensive line. That's the key to the game. Zeke doesn't seem to have the burst that he used to. He's looking to be more like a bigger Jerome Bettis back, and not like, maybe that all-world Dalvin Cook back that can beat you with speed and power. So I don't really trust this Dallas offense. If Gilbert is in there, I might look to the over. Otherwise, it seems like an under, because I don't think Dallas is going to be able to put up the points. Interesting to see. Have you guys heard about the quarterback situation? Because I was floored when I heard that they were considering bringing Dalton back.
Yeah, they activated him. Tyrone Crawford's probably going to be back too, their defensive end, so that's good for the Cowboys. But yeah, man, I don't know why they wouldn't go back to Andy Dalton, given that McCarthy's their head coach, and he likes to, he'll be trusting the veteran in this instance. So that scares me if he starts Mangone. Like, you really can't pick the guys on the Cowboys offense to start on a week-to-week basis, can you? Is there anybody this week against Minnesota?
So, I do want to, think about the Cowboys offense a little bit. The problem is they have a lot of guys they can throw to, but the reason I wanted to mention was, listen, the Vikings defense, are we believers in the Vikings defense all of a sudden now? I don't think we should be.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, so, let's look at the price tags. Michael Gallup is 3.7K. 3.7K, that is cheap for Michael Gallup. Amari Cooper is 5.4K. CeeDee Lamb is 5K. They're going to likely be losing all game long. I think in tournaments, there is some type of upside for these guys. It is kind of similar to that Ravens situation, right? The problem with the Ravens is running backs, you don't know which guy's going to go off, right? And you got that same issue with the Cowboys, right? If you fall on a Michael Gallup, I don't hate maybe plugging him in here and there, especially if you have Dalvin Cook already on the other side, right? I think that's an interesting way to go, and you can take a shot on it. The reason why we didn't mind playing all these different Cowboys receivers in the past is because Dak Prescott can make it work, but Andy Dalton is definitely way better than the guys they've been trotting out there. If Andy Dalton's out there, these price tags are kind of low on these guys, right? Should Michael Gallup be 3.7K with Andy Dalton as the quarterback with the Vikings defense? Probably not, right? Should CeeDee Lamb be 5K? Should Amari Cooper be 5.4? Maybe not. Maybe they should be a little, couple hundred higher, right? Maybe Amari Cooper should be at 5.8. But yeah, I think there's some value on the Cowboys in tournaments. In cash games, Dalvin Cook tournaments too. Dalvin Cook, just fire him up, right? He's such a great play. You can make cases for Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen as well. They're both phenomenal options. Both guys you want to get exposure to. You can worry about their upside a bit. And the reason why is, can the Cowboys put enough pressure to keep this game, as a game that interacts and goes back and forth and Kirk Cousins throws a lot? Nah, that's the one worry. So the receivers are not my favorite. I'm definitely more on the Dalvin Cook train, and he is a top option this week.
I mean, that's what it is, right? And for me, it's just going to come down to Cook or Kamara. I mean, Cook is what, 10.5 is what I'm seeing here. 10.5 on FanDuel. $9K on DK. Kamara's $200 more on DK, but $800 less than Cook on FanDuel. Like, are you locking Cook in over Kamara both sites?
Yeah, I would think so. It'd be Cook over Kamara for me. If I have to pick, that's the route I would go. I get it. Like, could Madison just hop in there? It depends, obviously, too. I know Cook got a little banged up, so I don't know if there's any, rumors that, maybe they take it easier on Dalvin Cook and they split the carries up more because it's the Cowboys. You do have that fear, right? Like, they get up big and they just like lean on Alexander Madison more in the second half for like no reason. You're sitting there tilting, but I'm currently on the Cook train.
Thielen or Jefferson?
Yeah, I mean, that's tough. I kind of think I'd go Jefferson. Call me crazy. I just think, yeah, I mean, not that I don't like Adam Thielen. He's more of like a possession guy. And I guess I'm looking for the big play, right? Like in this game, if I am playing a receiver, I feel like I need to have a big play, like a big, like 60-yard touchdown, right? Because my fear is Kirk Cousins not throwing the ball a lot. And Adam Thielen is more of like the possession guy, it always feels like. And Jefferson, he's a young guy and, he's looked really fast and explosive on the field. Not to say Adam Thielen's not a bad player. They're both good. And maybe it's some bias there. But I just think that I'd maybe take a shot on Jefferson because I think he'd be lower owned too than Thielen at similar price tags.
This is fascinating here. That game to me, Cook, Thielen, Jefferson. Those are the three most interesting decisions I think we'll be coming up on. Hey, Spread, just real quick, looking back at that game, like Dallas is going to really struggle. Once if you 100% know Dalton is in, like, would you just look at the team total and bang it under? I'm going to go check it out again. You might have it up in front of you right now, but like Dallas's offense is an absolute train wreck with Dalton in there. They actually looked okay last week. It was amazing. But yeah, I'm just searching for it right now. Can we go Dallas total under? What would you set that line at, Spread?
Well, let's see. It's 48.5 and it's an 8.5 point spread.
20.5.
So it's about 20. Yeah. I would probably go under. I still can't even believe that it's a consideration. I still can't believe that the way that Gilbert looked, that it's a consideration that they will put Dalton back in there. I mean, I don't understand. The NFL coaches preach about performance. Every rep matters, right? What you put on tape matters, right? What has Dalton put on tape to prove that he deserves to be the starting quarterback at this point, right? Are you trying to pull out tape from 2016 to prove that he deserves a starting job right now? I don't see it at all. I think that they should go with Gilbert. And if they go with Dalton, although I said this game was a stay away, I might even lay the -8 because that's how much I do not believe in his ability to move this offense. He looks lost. He's got these great weapons. I mean, arguably one of the best wide receiver cores in the league, and he can't even get it done with them. He can dump off to Ezekiel Elliott. That should be instant free check down, boost your QBR rating. He's not able to pull that off. We know the offensive line has had problems, but still, I think 25 of the quarterbacks in this league can get it done. And the fact that they're even considering putting Dalton out of there instead of Gilbert is just mind-blowing to me.
All right, I'm pretty sure Mangone's going to curl up in the fetal position and cry when I tell you what our last game is. Cincinnati at Washington. The total is 46.5. Well, I mean, really, we were looking for games on this slate. Like, what else did we want to do? Miami, Denver? That doesn't excite me. Jets and Chargers? Bleh. I mean, I guess we can go do you want to do New England, Houston, or do you want to do this game? I don't care.
No, I want to do this game. Let me give it the sales pitch, right? Let me give it a.
Was this your game? Did you recommend this?
Yeah, he liked this game.
No, not that I liked it, Holden, but I was looking around and I was like, okay, I guess we'll do this. Like, sure, why not? And I'll admit, when I looked at it, I didn't see spreads. I didn't see totals. I was actually, sitting there getting breakfast. So I was just trying to guess and just get you something because, hey, we were like a couple hours before the show. And I was like, this game could be interesting. Sure, at the surface, you're like Alex Smith. It's not that exciting, but hey, Alex Smith just slung the rock around. He had 400 passing yards, 390 passing yards. You got a guy like Terry McLaurin who is interesting in DFS. The reason why Terry McLaurin is interesting in DFS is, what is he? He is a guy that has a massive market share. The ball goes to him, right? You also have J.D. McKissick, who's a cheap running back. And listen, we have a lot of expensive running backs on this slate that we like. So we might have to pair him with a cheap running back. Also, if you are saying, hey, I want to pay for Devontae Adams in tournaments while others are paying for those running backs, Now I need cheap running backs, right? So I need to look at JD McKissic. I need to look at Antonio Gibson. And if they're going to be trailing the Redskins, or not the Redskins, the Washington football team, don't know why I went with that route, but JD McKissic, his volume he gets in the pass game, it's strong. I mean, the dude got 15 targets last week. Like, if they're going to be losing all game, we can't ignore that, right? And they were losing all game last week, right? If they're going to be winning a lot, Antonio Gibson is going to see good opportunity, right? There's good upside for these running backs here. I don't want to sleep on their price tags. I don't want to sleep on what they can do. So I think that those two are really, really interesting, especially with Alex Smith at the helm. Terry McLaurin, another guy I mentioned, good play. On the opposite side with the Bengals, I do want to talk about Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, right? Those guys are getting great amount of volume, right? They are looking amazing. And I'm not scared of Washington's defense at all. One thing that's going to be interesting to watch is the Bengals don't have the best offensive line, and Washington, what do they have? They have a really good defensive line. One, they can get pressure on the quarterback. So you're going to see Joe Burrow shooting a lot of those quick passes, the three-step drops right away to guys like Tyler Boyd on the slants. I think there's good opportunity here for this game, this shootout, more than you'd expect. I mean, it is a 1.5 total, or not 1.5 total, 1.5 spread. And I think this game can interact more than you'd expect. I think this game could be one of those, hey, it looks gross on paper, but the price tags on all these guys are so damn cheap. We can load up on it. We can play a lot of good players around it. And this could be the game stack that wins a Millie Maker out of nowhere. And everyone's just wondering what's going on.
Terry McLaurin, T. Higgins, Joe Burrow.
Yeah, I mean, you can go, call me crazy. You can go Alex Smith, JD McKissic, Terry McLaurin, and run it back.
Alex Smith?
Hey, we can get crazy.
What?
Quarterback is bad this week, man. I mean, you don't have Kyler Murray. Like open up the DK slate, right? So I'll do it right now.
I already did it. You basically are playing Justin Herbert, Ben Roethlisberger, Jameis Winston, guys like that. Lamar Jackson, if we already talked about him. Yeah, we don't have Russ. We don't have Murray. We don't have, if you ever played Brady, we don't have Brady.
We don't have the Kyler upside. We don't have the Kyler upside with the legs. Yeah, we don't have, we have Rodgers, but not the best spot. Lamar Jackson hasn't really proved his upside that much this year. Herbert has showed his upside. There's just not a lot of guys. So, hey, let's go crazy, man. Joe Burrow and Alex Smith. Interesting options.
That's your YOLO lineup this week, huh? Hey, spread. Here we go. It's the big one, baby. Let's do it. 1.5 favorite for Washington. Totals 46.5.
Yeah, boy, and I haven't met a lot of people that are really anxious to get involved in this game. I think that Travis made a great point really about the Washington defensive line versus the patchwork or basically just terrible Cincinnati offensive line and how that's going to affect the game. I think that pretty much if they can give him just a modicum of time, I think he's got a huge advantage. Obviously, numbers withstanding, right? I mean, Alex Smith is the original captain check down, and Travis made that point in his McKissic thing. But Burrow's a guy that can get the ball down the field. He's great in the comeback. He's got so much poise in the pocket. I mean, you look at a guy just carrying a team or carrying a franchise. I mean, Joe Burrow has been that guy. Everything that you would want out of a number one pick. He just looks to have so much upside, and he's going to be the best player on the field. Obviously Chase Young is a great player as well. And you got Kerrigan and some other good guys there on that Washington defensive line. But I think it's really going to come down to the line of scrimmage when Cincinnati has the ball. And if they can give them any little bit of time, I'm going to love Cincinnati in this spot. And if they're not able to, then obviously I think Washington will be able to win, with kind of maybe one of those old school style wins with short passes, a lot of running, and a lot of defense. So I think that this game is great for live opportunities. I think you watch the line of scrimmage in the first quarter, see what they're able to provide for Burrow. And if they seem to be, at least holding their own against the Washington defensive line, and you can get them, around that closing number, I think you jump on Cincinnati. If you see Washington dominating the line of scrimmage like they have in some other games, you can go ahead and jump in on Washington. I think this is a great game for a live spot. Backdoor Burrow's there too, so I wouldn't even be looking at any teasers in this options here. So I think this is a great game for live betting. Don't really want to get involved pregame, and I actually don't know a lot of people who are getting involved in this game pregame. Probably will have one of the lowest handles on the slate on Sunday.
Give me we just did 6 games. Give me something you're feeling good about heading into week number. Is this 11 already or 10? 11? This is week 11. What the hell,
know.
man?
It's going fast, man. It definitely is going.
It
quicker than
always
we
does,
expected.
but now it's like you're like, all right, Thanksgiving, and then boom, most of the season's over. Spread, what are you feeling good about this week? Like, what's your best bet right now as we sit early in the week?
I like the Tennessee plus 6.5.
Beautiful.
I'm not a big believer in the Ravens, and for them to get blown off the ball like that against New England, I think it really opened a lot of eyes that we think Ravens defense, right? And is it a little bit of reputation? Ravens running game, is it a little bit of reputation at this point here? And I think that we're getting a much better quarterback. You're giving me 6.5 points. That's my favorite play of the week.
Who's your favorite play on the board in DFS, Mangone? Anybody? Is it Dalvin Cook? Is it somebody else? Who is it? Taysom Hill, a tight end?
I mean, I gotta stay on. I think I gotta stay on brand, man. Jameis Winston, man, famous Jameis. He's gonna lead us to the promised land, and I think he's my guy this week. Call me crazy, I might be just all in. Might be Jameis week.
All right, before we get out, we all need to plug stuff. So I'm going to plug my interviews. I'm interviewing the team here at Run Pure Sports. We'll get to the bet side too. Big T's interview dropped. He's Eskimo Brothers with an NBA player. If you don't know what an Eskimo brother, do you know what an Eskimo brother is, Mangone?
Yes, I do. I know Davis Maddock is one with Cordell Patterson. I know Big T
Really?
you said is one. Yeah, Big T is one with whoever you said.
Birdman.
Birdman, that's who it was. Yeah, and then everyone's gonna call him Bird T now. I saw, and then what's it called? Hoops got one too. Apparently, you're gonna do on a show.
Spread's got a big one. Spread's got a big time Eskimo brother. So we definitely talked.
I think I should have just kept that to myself.
Not Cordero Patterson, Cordell Stewart, right?
Yeah.
Cordell Stewart. That is a throwback name, man. I have not heard that dude's name
I'm a
mentioned
little
in
older.
a minute.
I just worked with that guy like 3 years ago. I used to do stuff with him on shows. And there's that thing, oh, he's gay and everything. I don't know about that, man. Now, people always have secrets and stuff, but I've never seen a guy, a lot of women around him. It's very interesting. Anyway, Spread. I'm promoting my interview with Big T. It's here on YouTube and it's a podcast too. So get on iTunes, but whatever your favorite host is or provider is. And then JSU's came out too. Got a little dark, but also went through the process of one of the best DFS players in the world. Spread, live show.
Yeah, so follow me on Twitter at Spread Astaire for NBA and WTA tennis content. At Net Worth Pod is the podcast I'm involved with. And of course, most importantly, head on over to runpurebets.com. That's where you can get the information from the whole team. You get the keg, you get Tyler, the prop guru, you get Twatty Latte on baseball, you get Max on basketball. I mean, we are fired up. We're ready to go. So I love the team that we're doing there. We give you free shows Monday and Thursday evening, and we're behind the paywall for random shows like tonight. We weren't scheduled, but we decided we think that there are some opportunities in this NBA draft to go ahead and hit it live, especially as people start coming off the board. I think it's going to be a lot easier to figure out where these guys are going than say this morning when we're trying to figure out these draft props. So we think there's great live opportunities. We'll be on for at least the lottery portion, and then we'll see how Jay's feeling. Maybe if there's some big names on the board that we're going to target, we'll stay on a little longer. And then we're behind the paywall on Saturday and Sunday. Saturday is a UFC fight show mixed in with the college football and then hopefully college basketball. Boy, who knows what's going on with that. And then Sunday, we're on for the slate for sure, the morning and afternoon slate. And then I know that sometimes you guys even staying on for the evening games. I usually am off the air by that time, but I know that Jay will choose some of you guys and stay on with it. So you get so much live betting content. You basically get our thoughts on all sports for all the weeks, not to mention the spreadsheet up 30 units. I love putting the spreadsheet plays on there. That's been a lot of fun for me and doing well. So you get access to the spreadsheet, you get access to the live betting show and the breakdown shows. When NBA comes back, Tyler and I do breakdowns. I'll hit the sides and totals. Tyler hits the props. We've been very profitable. So we'd love for you to come join us. Check it out. We even have 25% off if you're a first time to go ahead and try
God,
it. So.
Man, it's like, geez, I just wanted a little recap here. I just went into your life. It's like, that was our interview right there.
Yeah, there you go.
What is it? It's bets 25 off, right?
Bets 25 off.
That's it.
So.
Bets 25 off.
Yeah.
Listen, if I was not working with you guys, I'd be a subscriber. I've won a lot of money this year. Mangone, what do you want to plug, buddy? Give me something.
Yeah, so I guess I'll talk about DFS, right? Tons of good stuff we have going on over here at Run Pure Sports. I got a premium college football show I do with you and Bruce. I do the cash show with Hoop, and then on Saturdays I do the GBP off the chalk show with AP. Also, you can find me again here on YouTube Sunday morning doing the Wood Show with Hoop and Big T. We got tons of awesome premium content though, guys. You got to check that all out. Golf stuff this week. I'm getting my golf stuff together now. And hey, I might even head over to the Run Pure bet sheet. I put down Dustin Johnson last week. We hit that one as the outright winner. And I'm going to maybe look to put another one on here if I can find one here in the next
By the way,
couple hours.
Let me give
That's
you a
what I
shout
like to
out.
hear.
Thank you, Ben Going at 8.5 to 1. I got some money back. So thank
There
you
we
very
go.
much,
Yeah.
on Dustin Johnson. Great call.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it wasn't like the long shot, like a 40 to 1 or anything like that. But hey, we got the winner, right? That's all
Dude,
that
you
matters.
take 8.5 to 1 any day. You take plus 850. Come on. That guy he's going nuts. It's great.
That's just like the classic thing people do when you hit a golf outright. And it's like
Yeah.
the dude that was like one of like the top 4 guys. You're like, oh, you guessed that one. It's like, well, there's 100 like people in the field, man. It's not the easiest thing in the world. Like,
All right. And then Friday night, if you want another DFS and bet show, we call that one Print Factory. It's JJ from the bet side, and then JSU and Big T. Simon, thank you so much for making us look pretty, for Spread a Stare. And Mangone, I'm holding. Give us a thumbs up and keep running pure.